My name is Carlos. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up in a Catholic family. Since I was a child, we used to go to church. All our neighbors around our house, they were Catholics too, so it was a really nice childhood. Now, telling you when I was 14 years old, I was feeling really bad one day. I didn't want to say anything to my mom because my mom was very strict. And I was thinking at that age, if I say something to her that I don't want to go to school, she's going to think I'm making it up, even that I never do that, right? I said to myself, I'm going to swallow it up and I'm going to keep it quiet. I don't want to say anything. Maybe it's my imagination. A month passed and I was feeling worse and worse and worse. And one day, I was at the bus stop waiting for the bus to go to school, and I have a blackout. I almost fade to the floor, and I stand up and I say, okay, there is something really bad going on here. Tonight, I'm gonna have to speak with my mom. I talked to her. I said, Mom, we need to talk, and this is serious. Something is going on with me. I don't know what's happening. We need to go to a doctor. So we went there. He was an hematologist. And as soon as I get there, he said, okay, let me take a blood sample from here, from your finger. So I took blood sample. He goes to a laboratory, and 10, 20 minutes later, the doctor come in and said, okay, I want you guys to come to my office. I need to talk to your father and mother. So we go to his office, and the doctor come and said, Carlos, I have bad news to give you. I'm sorry, but you have 3 months to leave. I said, 3 months? Like, what are you talking about? I said, well, you have leukemia and it's terminal, and there is nothing I can do. I'm the best doctor, hematologist in the city, and I've seen these cases before, but you are too young to have this, but you guys came too late. There is nothing that I can do. So in this moment, I heard a voice inside of me for the first time in my life that it said, he don't have the last word, I had. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, what was that? Of course, I was afraid because I didn't want to say anything to my mom. I wasn't afraid of the voice. I was afraid to say something to my mom and she was going to take it that I'm making fun of this, right? So I said, I'm going to take it to myself. And my mom grabbed the doctor and she started crying. I said, Doctor, please, you have to save my son. You have sons and daughters. You will do anything in your life to save your son's life, right? The doctor said, okay, lady, sit down. And I have two options. Number one option, we can fly to Houston, Texas, and get a bone marrow transplant. My mom said, okay, and is that good? Yeah, that's the best that we can do. And how much is gonna cost? Well, maybe you're gonna have to sell your house, your cars, and everything you have in order to pay for this surgery. And my mom said, and that's gonna save my son, are you 100%? And he said, like, no, we don't know. We just try. That's the best option we have. And my mom said, what is the second option? He said, well, I'm working with another doctor in France with a formula. Maybe he can respond with this formula. So my mom used to work for the Air Force. One of his colleagues at the Air Force went to France, brought the formula, and I started drinking this pill. And after 3 months, the doctor called my mom and said, let me see Carlos, bring it here. So I go to the laboratory again, and the doctor said, I'm sorry, it's not working. My mom was crying, my dad was crying, I feel horrible. And I said, God, there have to be something else. So I have an idea. I have an uncle, he's a real estate, and he built buildings and houses, and he have all the money in the world. Let me call him and maybe he can give us the money so we can go to Houston, Texas and do the bone marrow transplant. So I called my uncle and I explained what was going on with me. And my uncle said, I'm sorry, Carlos, I cannot help you. And he hung up the phone. As soon as he hung up the phone, my whole world totally turned black. And I said, like, okay, well, this means I guess I'm gonna die. There is no way to get out of here. In that moment, I went on my knees on the floor. I was by myself in the house. And I said, you know what? Wait a minute. I start feeling heat all over my body. I'm in a Catholic school and they show you there is a God that they can help you if you pray from your heart. So I stand up and I say, okay, God, let's do a deal right here. If you're real and you want to help me, what about if you save me from this cancer And I'm gonna tell everybody, the rest of the world, that you're real because you saved me. I'm gonna be the living proof, you know? My instinct was saying like, yep, that's gonna be it. And I feel heat all over my body. I feel like yes inside of me. And from that day, I start praying. I start doing visualizations, like imagine myself in the future working for a company, graduating at the university, and doing a lot of stuff. So I was imagining all that, and every day I was saying like, "Thank you God for my healing. Thank you God for my healing. Thank you God for my healing." Made the story short. 3 months later, the doctor called and said, "Okay, it's time to do the last test, and it's going to the CT scan. You know, the tunnel that take all the X-rays." I came out of the CT scan. All the results came blank. So in that moment, the doctor said, "I don't know what happened, but the cancer disappeared." And my mom, "Oh my God, God, thank you, God, this is a miracle." So the doctor said, "I'm sorry, lady, miracles doesn't exist. I'm gonna tell you something. This is called remission. Remission is when the cancer disappear and then come back more aggressive." And then my mom like, "No, doctor, it was a miracle." And in that moment, I heard a voice inside of me that he said, "This will never happen again." I was like, okay. I didn't want to say anything else right there. And I never said that to anybody. I was afraid that people is gonna make fun of me, or they're gonna say, "Oh, you're crazy," you know. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to say anything to nobody. I just keep it to myself. It was a little secret between God and me. And from that moment till today, I never had cancer again. My story started in 2015. One day I wake up in the morning, turn my TV on, and then I see on the news this massacre. There's a bunch of kids have been killed. I turn off the TV and I said, "Really, God? Is this really happening? Like these poor kids have to die? Why innocent people have to die? I need an explanation. I mean, if you are real, if you're here with me, I need you to tell me something, you know, I feel bad." And in that moment, my phone rings. So I grabbed the phone. It's one of my best friends. His name is Jorge. "Yeah, what's up?" And he said, like, "Carlos, next week is gonna be Memorial Day. Let's go to the beach. My family's coming from out of town. Do you want to come with us?" I said, "Sure, I will. I will go." So we planned the trip to go to Panama City. It was a sunny day. It was beautiful, blue skies, blue water, and there is a national park. It's called San Andrews State Park. But when we arrived to the island, the bay side of the island was packed. And I said, "Oh, sorry guys, I didn't know all these people's gonna be here. But let's do something. Let's go to the back of the island. It's gonna be more empty because it's open ocean." So when we go to the back, I said, "Okay, you know what? Let's put a tent right here. Let's put some chairs and stuff." So we fix everything and we stay there from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. And around 4 p.m., all my friends said, "Carlos, we're gonna walk around the island." So they left. I was by myself. And then it started getting hot, really hot. So I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna jump and swim for a little bit." The water was fine. I jump in the water. I'm not afraid to swim because I used to be on a swimming team when I was a child. But guess what? When I was swimming, a riptide came under the water and I didn't know what a riptide was. So this riptide grabbed me and pushed me all the way into the ocean. The riptide is like a whirlpool under the water. So it dragged me all the way to the middle of the ocean. I pulled my head out of the water and the island is far, far away. And I was like, "How in the world I'm here?" Okay, I just need to swim back. So I start trying to swim back, to swim back. And then I pulled my head out of the water and guess what? I'm farther away from the coast. I was like, "What?" So I trying to swim faster and faster, pull my head out of the water, and even farther. I was like, "What?" So after 30 minutes trying and trying and trying, there is no way that I can go back to the island. I start getting cramps on my arms, on my legs. And at this point, I said, "You know what, God, this is it for me. From this moment, I don't think I'm gonna survive this. If you're gonna take me now, I'm ready. I just wanna say thank you. Thank you for my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters. Thank you for everything you gave me, and I'm sorry if I did something wrong." As soon as I heard this, I heard a voice behind me that said, "Ask for help." And I was like, "What?" So I look everywhere, I didn't see anyone, right? And then I heard a little later, ask for help. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm being here for over 30 minutes. I'm dying here. Could you help me at least? Nothing, just the wind and the water. And then I heard for the third time, I told you to ask for help. And I was like, oh my God, okay. In my mind, there was no way in a million years that I'm going to get out of there because the island was so far away. So because this voice was behind me, pushing me, I was like, okay. So I started waving and saying, help. At the end of the island, one of my friends that was on my group came out of the group because he felt something was wrong. He went to the top of a hill and he saw me from the top of the hill. And then he started screaming, Carlos, I'm gonna call 911. Hold on. So he left and then he go back to the other side of the island when everybody was boarding the boats to go back to Panama City and bring, I don't know, a lot of people with him. So 6 guys jump from the hill, from the rocks, and everybody starts swimming my way. And then I heard a thunder behind me. And when I look back, the sky was turning dark, stormy, and I see lightnings in the background. And after 10 minutes, these guys trying to get me, but the ocean is still sucking me in, everybody give up and everybody starts turning around. And as soon as I see everybody turning around, I said, you know what, God? I don't gonna fight anymore. If this is it for me, I'm just gonna surrender and do whatever you want. And in this moment, when I say surrender, I tell people how many times in your life you're fighting with cancer, you're fighting with your mom, your dad, your sons, with school, with work, with anything in your life. The only thing you have to do is surrender and let God take over, you know? And that's what I did in that moment. I just surrendered. And in that moment, a huge wave came and crushed me all the way under the ocean. So when I was under the ocean, I open my eyes and I see a big shadow that's coming my way. And as soon as I see the shadow, I thought it was a shark, so I covered my face just to wait for the bite. But this thing grabbed me from the bottom of my stomach and pushed me all the way up to get air. So when I get to the top, guess what it was? It was a huge dolphin. So I grabbed the dolphin by the tail and I start crying because I couldn't believe that the dolphin saved my life. So I'm there with the dolphin. The dolphin is not moving left or right. He's just standing right there. After 10 minutes, a fisher boat showed up in front of me. So he threw me a rope. I grabbed the rope and I start going to the boat. The dolphin is still next to me. So when I get to the boat, I finally grab some air and say like, I jump in off the boat. And the guy asked me, are you okay? Everything's fine? Yes. What happened to you? I said, like, sir, I just was swimming and this riptide took me all the way here. Where's your family and friends? Everybody's there. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And what about you, sir? I said, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia too. I was like, what? I'm from Duluth. And I asked him, like, what part are you? I'm from Norcross. Duluth and Norcross is next to each other, so we're neighbors. I was like, this is crazy. We're from Atlanta, we're in Florida, and you say me that this is amazing. And then in that moment, the guy grabbed the camera, his phone, and he started filming. Oh my God, look behind you, look behind you. So when I look behind me, I see the dolphin jumping behind the boat, and the dolphin follows us all around the island to the other side of the island. So when we get to the bay, the guy say, okay, son, I have to leave you right here because I have to fix my boat. But every Memorial Day, I'm going to come here. If you want to see me again, you will see me on Memorial Day. God bless you and take care. So I jump. He left. I say, thank you. And I start walking to the shore. And in that moment, something hit my leg. So when I look back, the dolphin was behind me. So the dolphin started going with me all the way to the shore. So when I get to the shore with this dolphin next to me, I was like, what is this dolphin want from me? So I go on my knees and I said, you know what, God, this is it for me. If you save me with this dolphin right here, it's because you have a purpose for my life. I don't know what do you want from me, but I'm going to tell you something. From this moment, Carlos died into the ocean. The person who's coming out of the water is going to be you. You want Carlos, you want this body? Well, come in and do whatever you have to do through me. I give you my life and I give you everything I have for you to do whatever you want. And in that moment, it start raining, it start lightning, it start thundering, and then the dolphin leave. I start crying there in the sand, and then the police arrive, people arrive, everybody start running from the other side of the island, everybody start hugging me. And after I explain all that, the police report and all that, everybody asked me, Carlos, what do you want to do now? I said, like, please take me to a church because this was a miracle. So the closest church next to this national park, it was a Catholic church, Fatima. And after we finished praying, we went back to the hotel, took a shower, get something to eat. And when I go to my bed that I'm gonna go to sleep, I have an epiphany. And the epiphany is like a vision. I'm on the third floor of a carnival cruise. I'm grabbing the handrails. I look in front of me and I see the ocean. It's a blue ocean, blue skies. I'm in the middle of the ocean. And then at the end of the ocean, I see a tsunami rising in the horizon. So the tsunami is coming straight to me. So I was like, oh Lord, here we go. So I covered my face because I'm about to die. The tsunami is going to hit me, right? So I'm just waiting 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes, nothing happened. And then it's like, what's going on with this tsunami? And then somebody come behind me. It's like, hey, Carlos, look at me, look at me. I was like, no, 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 no. Look, we're about to die. The tsunami is coming. And he's like, no, Carlos, look at me. I was like, who are you? And he said, like, just look at me. I said, like, no, I'm afraid we're about to die. And then he said, you will never die with me. So I look back, and what I see is this tall guy, like 6'5", with a white robe, a light coming from his face. And I knew in my heart was Jesus. So he said, close your eyes and just wait. So I closed my eyes. He hugged me from behind. And 10 seconds later, he said, open your eyes. So I opened my eyes. He opened his arms. And he said, look in front of you. So when I looked in front of me, I couldn't believe where I was. I was in heaven. So imagine heaven like infinitive golf course. Everything was green, beautiful, blue skies. And then in front of me, millions of people dressed in white robes. I tell Jesus, like, Jesus, no, 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 no. I need to go back. I cannot die right now. I have a lot of things to do. I said, like, no, Carlos, you make a promise to me. Now you need to fulfill that promise. And welcome to heaven. You're going to start walking with me and walking with them. From today, you're part of me and part of all of them. Do you have any questions? And in that moment, I asked, yes, I have a question. Where all these people come from? And he said, these people come from all over the world. Another question, I said, yes. What is the true religion? What is the religion here in heaven? I said, in heaven, there is no religions. When you come to heaven, what you're going to find here is love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe, and that's what is going to unite the whole humanity again. And in that moment, he put his arms over me and he said, okay, let's walk inside of heaven and let me do a life review. So we start walking, he started doing my life review. And when we finished, he said, okay, Carlos, go back and tell everyone what happened here. So I came down and wake up the next day. I was like, oh my God, this I guess was a dream or something. I didn't know. We traveled back to Atlanta. And on Monday, I go back to work and I get to my office. I've been working in my office almost 20 years there. Hey guys, guess what happened to me this weekend? I almost died. I was drowning in the middle of the ocean and this dolphin came and saved me. And everybody like, yeah, right, a dolphin saved you. And then they start laughing and I heard somebody behind me and say, I believe you. And I look back, it was my boss and said, why you believe me and they don't believe me? I said, all of them, they're atheists. I'm a Christian. Now I want you to go on your computer and Google how many people die in Florida by riptide currents every year. So I Google, more than 100 people die every year in Florida by riptides. Then my boss said, now Google, how many people have been saved by dolphins around the world through history? So I Googled that and a lot of people have saved by dolphin. I didn't know that neither. Then he said, what is the meaning of the dolphin for Christians? I said, like, what? What are you talking about? So I Googled, what is the meaning of dolphin for Christians? The hope for eternal life. The dolphin represents Jesus. I was like, what? This is crazy. Anyways, that happened on Monday. On Wednesday, my boss sent me to this customer house. I'm a quality assurance manager, and I have to check the quality of my employees. So when I go to this customer, she opened the door. Hello, Carlos. Nice to meet you. I'm cooking right now, but could you do me a favor? Go to the basement. One of your employees broke the lamp. Could you replace the lamp, fix it, or do something? I said, sure. So I go down the stairs, I go to the basement, go to the last room. When I get to the last room, I turn the light, I see the gold lamp, but next to the gold lamp was a huge painting on the wall. And guess what the painting was? Millions of people in heaven, Jesus in the middle. Under Jesus was like the ocean and dolphins jumping at the bottom of Jesus. So this scene was very overwhelming for me. And I start crying. And the customer come downstairs like, Carlos, are you okay? What happened to you? I said, like, where did you get this painting from? This is impossible. I have an epiphany 3 days ago, and everything in my epiphany is in your painting right here. And she said, well, a friend of my family came 3 years ago and did this painting, and he gave us this to our family, so we put it right there because it's a huge painting. But you can take pictures and you can take it for you. I mean, your pictures. So I grabbed my camera and took pictures. Then after that, that happened on Wednesday. On Thursday, I called my best friend. I told this story. And he said, Carlos, you need to go to church. This is a testimony. You need to tell people what's going on. And I said to him, like, no, bro, I don't want to tell this to anybody. People is going to make fun of me and all this story. And you know how many haters are going to like this? No, no, no. I don't want to do this. But then he started talking to me over an hour on the phone, and he convinced me. I said, okay, I go on Sunday to your house. When I arrived to his house, we get some breakfast, and my friend said, okay, Carlos, what church you want to go? And I said, it doesn't matter what church it is because Jesus told me it's everything for everyone. And love, that's what is important, you know? So the closest church to his house was called St. Michael the Archangel. So we drove there, we spoke with the priest, and he said, okay, Carlos, you have a testimony, go to the stage and start telling your story. So I go to the stage, I start telling my story, and when I'm in the middle of the story, this 17 years old raised her hand and says, excuse me, I want to ask you a question. I'm sorry to interrupt your story. I just want to ask you how Jesus was with you. I said, Jesus was behind me. I said, like, why? I just want to ask you another question. Where you were in front of him, what Jesus was doing, he was hugging me from behind. Why? And she said, well, you need to see this. She turned around, and in the back of the t-shirt that she's using, she have a printing of Jesus hugging a guy. And I was like, yeah, it was exactly like that. And everybody at church started murmuring, oh my God, you guys planned this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I don't know her, and I never see that painting before. So church end, I go back home, and I go on my computer, and I Google Jesus hugging a guy. So this image come in by Thomas Blackchair. In the back is the darkness that we all have. In the front is all the illuminations that we all have. That was the beginning of a lot of miracles that I didn't know. I thought I was making this up on my mind. And one of the biggest miracles happened, let me tell you this, just months after my incident in the water, right? So I'm going to Walmart to get some groceries. And my phone rang, I grabbed the phone, and it's my sister. So she said, Carlos, what are you doing? I said, like, well, I'm going to get some groceries. Why? And I'm still walking on the parking lot. And she said, well, when you get home, I want you to watch this movie. It's called The Letters. I said, the letters? What letters? I said, the letters from Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was writing some letters to God because she was receiving a lot of miracles and she didn't feel worthy of these miracles. Something was like, it's happening to you. So she wrote these letters and she felt better when she was doing this to God. When Mother Teresa died, these letters were discovered and then they made the movie, The Letters. I said, okay. When I get home, I watch the movie. So I'm walking to Walmart. My sister is still on the phone. The glass doors of Walmart open. And guess who's coming out of Walmart? 3 nuns of Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And I said to my sister, I called you right back. You won't believe this. So I hang up the phone and I tell the nuns, excuse me, are you from Mother Teresa? I said, yes, we're from Mother Teresa. Don't you see our April? I said, like, yeah, I see, but wow. Are you from India? I said, yeah, we're from India. From Calcutta? I said, yeah, from Calcutta. I said, what are you doing here on vacation? I said, like, no, we live here. I said, you live here? Where? We live here in Mother Teresa house. Mother Teresa house? Like, what? Yeah, Mother Teresa came to Atlanta before she died and she inaugurated the Mother Teresa house. I said, like, what you guys do in that house? I said, well, it's a hospice and we take care of ladies that are dying with AIDS and cancer. And actually, we're looking for volunteers. You want to come? I said, sure. So they give me the address. 2 weeks later, I go there. So I walk in and I see the nurse. Hey, is this Carlos from Walmart? Do you remember me? Oh, Carlos, yes, come on. So we went around the house. They showed me like a classroom they have, like a little chapel they have. And after they showed me everything, they said, okay, Carlos, Mother Superior wants to talk to you. Could you go to her office? I said, sure. So they take me to the office. Mother Superior, hey, Carlos, nice to meet you. So we don't have visitors like you, but we're glad that you're here. But is everything okay? Something happened to you? I said, like, yes. So I tell the story of the dolphin, right? And after I finish, I show the picture of Jesus hugging the guy in the Thomas Black chair. And the lady's like, oh my God, this is a miracle. This is a miracle. So like, what's going on? This is normal. What are you talking about? And then she said, Carlos, God sent you here. I said, like, no, no, no. God didn't send me here. I found these ladies on Walmart and they gave me your address and that's how I came here. And she said, no, now you will see what I'm saying this. Look behind you. So I look behind me and there is a box, a big box. And she said, now open the box. And as soon as I cut the box and I opened it, guess what inside? Inside was 100 images, like the same image of Thomas Blatcher forgiveness. So then everybody in that moment started praying, and it was beautiful. But it was something that she said, you see, God brought you here to let us know in 2 weeks. Those images on that box is for a spiritual retreat that we're gonna do here for kids that are trying to get in drugs, alcohol, and all that. And we trying to save them, And the best image we got was the image of Jesus hugging the guy. So that was one of the biggest confirmation for me to continue to do this spiritual path. Let me tell you something. Since I was a child in high school, because I still a little bit chubby, right? Everybody was bullying me because I was a little bit big. So my best friend was like Jesus. I used to have a stamp of Jesus on my pocket, and I used to talk to him. It's like, Jesus, what's going on? Why my classmates are doing this to me? Like bullying me all the times. Like I just trying to be a nice guy. And from my childhood, every single day I pray. It was nobody that pushed me to pray, but every time that I was praying, I was feeling comfortable with myself. And every night before I go to bed, if I pray, I sleep like a baby. But if I forgot to pray for any reason, I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night. I wake up and I pray and then went to sleep. So it's been something that I've been doing all my life. It's bring me peace to myself. And the question that you asked me about if I listen to this voice all the time, no. Actually, this voice came to me when I never expected. And I think everybody have this little voice inside of us, that tell you what to do or what not to do. And then if you're gonna get into a trip and then you hear a voice that said, don't go, don't go, don't go. I was like, nothing's gonna happen. And then you go and something happens. It's like, oh my God, I should hear my little voice inside of me. I think every human being, we're connected with God in some form because we're like a particle of God and we're an expression of God, like very little, but we are all connected to Him. So everybody can communicate with God if you talk from your heart. And I discovered that little by little because every time in my life that I feel like everything is going wrong, I always believe in that verse on the Bible, ask and shall be given. Because I feel like we have free will. And God cannot intervene in our life if we don't open our mouths and say, hey, we need help. Can you help me here? And most of the stories that I heard through my life is when people ask God for help because your free will is your experience. So if you need somebody to intervene, it's like you grabbing the phone and said, hey, I need help. So I guess that connection and that make a phone call with God is ask. You need to ask. And 3 years ago, I met this lady. Her name was Joyce Reynolds. She wrote a book. It's called Energy Connections. And she said, Carlos, you're going to put your intentions on a paper. And every time that you write something on a paper, the universe is going to hear what you're putting on the paper. Because what happens is sometimes we ask for stuff, but we don't put the intention behind. So when you grab a piece of paper and you put like, I want to be the best of my class, I want to buy a house, I want to buy a car. She was telling us all the times, every time that you write an intention, You need to put like it's already happened. I think in the Bible there is a verse that it said, feel it and have faith that it already happened and it will be yours. So she was telling me, you have to write it in present tense and it's like already happened. And God is going to provide you what you put in with your handwrite, you know? And this is something that you can do every day, like 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes before go to bed. Just write the 10 things that you want to manifest in your life. And you want the divine and God to see what you put there and the intentions, and it will come to your life. And I definitely believe in that because I put some stuff there about my life and it materialized. So I guess what he said in the Bible says true. I mean, ask and you should receive. The way that you ask and you write it down, I think it's powerful because you are putting your energy on the paper and you asking God, like, please, I need this. Could you please help me? And that's how it comes. Joyce Reynolds died last year. She was, oh my God, she was an angel. The 3 years that I met her, she changed my life. She was a pure love person. She was a great example of a human being on this world, and I learned a lot from her. Everybody's important, and what I wrote in my book is like I talk about people trying to commit suicide. I received several calls. It's like every time that somebody's or my friend's gonna commit suicide, they call me. And I asked the first question, like, why you call me? You put all this on my back. I said, because the first voice that I heard was called Carlos. I said, okay, sure. When I'm talking to them, is you give me hope. Everybody is important on earth. We're all humans and we all came here to live this experience. Why? I feel being a human on earth, this is a huge school that we're learning. Like in my life, I went through a lot and I didn't understand why I was going through a lot of stuff since I was a child. One of the things that happened to me, I went with my family to a river. They were making like a camping for a day with the family. I was like 7 or 8 years old. And I said to my mom, Mom, I'm going to walk around the river. And I went by myself. And then I see a piece of like dirt. It was like wavy. I was like, what is that dirt? So I run to see what it was, and guess what? It was like a hole. So I went through the hole and went under the river. There was a current under the water and it was taking me under. So I was about to die there. I was like, what is this happening to me? I'm gonna die here. Nobody gonna know that I came to a hole and I went under the water. So I pushed in and finally I could breathe. But like I said, since I was a child, I've been going through a lot. I didn't know why. And life is like a spider web. Every little point in your life, when you're older, you're gonna put like, oh my God, if this didn't happen, this will never happen. And this happened because of this reason and this reason and this reason. So you never know what is the final result of your life. That's why you need to be patient. I think that's one of the greatest things that we need to learn, and be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for your family and be grateful for the experience that you are living. Maybe you're going to teach more people about your life. You never know what the future holds for you. And if you have faith, you can bring to your life many things. And when people is too stressed out, what I recommend is to go and take a walk. You receive oxygen in your brain and you think better. But if you're at home, just hitting the wall because you cannot do anything with your situation, you don't want to resolve anything. You're going to get more depressed. But if you go out, take a walk, you will feel much better. And after that, you can go home and then pray or meditate. And the way that I pray, I just say the regular pray for God, but I speak with God like I'm talking to you. I say like, okay, God, this is what's going on in my life right now. I need your help. Is any way that you can help me with this and this and this? And I really appreciate if you help me. You have to have faith. Faith is that substance that you don't know, but you know that it's going to manifest. You need to have that happiness in your heart that something is going to happen because you know it's coming. So I guess when you ask God for something, you have to imagine that that thing that you ask is on the way. So I believe every time that you ask for something, it goes to heaven and it start materializing like a cloud. But every time that you think more and more about this, the clouds is forming more and more and more. And when the clouds is completely formed because you have been thinking and thinking and thinking, the clouds come down and materialize. That's what I think when you ask to God. And I discovered when you are grateful with everything, I feel like more is coming to you. If you're asking for something and if you're a grateful person, whatever you're asking is coming even faster because you are that light. Thank you for the air. Thank you for because today I wake up. God, thank you because I'm alive. Thank you for my family. Thank you for all my friends. Thank you for everybody around my life. Thank you for my dogs, my cats. I believe when you're thinking, you're sending that signals to God and the universe, and you receive back the same love. And when I come back from my accident, something that changed on me was to be more human, to be more real, to be more humble with people, because you're not taking anything. Like, I don't know, in the scripture said, we're dust and we will be back to dust. So why we are here to pretend to be like famous or pretend to be like, wow, if we are here is to give love one to another. And when I come back after my accident, I saw life completely different. I want to help more people. I want to go here in Atlanta, go Food for Lives, feed the homeless on the weekends. Is a friend needed my help moving or so many things that you can help people. So just try to be the best person you can and try to do your best every day. And you will see how God is going to bring you back things that are not even in your imagination. You don't want to believe me, but since I've been on this path, every time that I need like a miracle, I ask God. So every time that you want, ask. Every time that you want a miracle, ask. Could you give me a miracle, God? Show me something. I don't know. Give me a sign, just a feather, just a rose, anything that can connect you with what you're looking for. Because we're here for a reason. We're here to be an example for others. We're here in the name of love, in the name of God. I believe that is a big awakening in the world right now, and people can feel that. Nobody can hide the sun with one finger. And I believe that everybody, not just with my story, just you will feel in your heart there is more out there, and there is more than this life. So I'm not afraid to death because I've been involved in an accidents before. And every time that I'm about to die, I just feel everything in a slow motion. I feel a lot amount of peace. And I always said, you know what? I'm ready to go. So in few seconds, I'm going to be on the other side. I'm not afraid anymore because I feel on my heart that is more afterlife. And when I was in heaven, Jesus told me, in order for people to continue living this life, they need to forgive. I said, like, why? More than 98% of people around the world have childhood trauma, and they need to forgive three people. Number one, they need to forgive their parents. Why? Because it doesn't matter if your parents hit you, if your parents abuse you, if your parents didn't like you, did your parents abandon you? They did the best they could to give you the best you have. Number two, you need to forgive your inner child because it doesn't matter what happened to that little kid inside of you. You couldn't defend yourself. Nobody could hear you. Whatever happened to you is not this baby's fault. So you need to grab the baby, hug it, and say, from now on, everything's going to be fine. And number three, you need to forgive every person that came to your life and did harm to you. Why? When you forgive your parents, your inner child and the people that harm you through your life, you're not forgiving them. You're forgiving yourself. In that moment, you open your heart and you throw away all the hate, all the resentment, and all the poison that has been killing you all your life inside of you. From that moment, it's like you have a balloon with a string and you cut the string and let the balloon go. You're free. That's when you start living your purpose in life. Because every person came to earth with a purpose. Nobody came here for nothing. So every life is valuable. What is the biggest purpose for humanity? Very simple. A lot of people is looking through the whole life. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? Very simple. It's called service. Why service? Because when you die and you go to heaven, you're not gonna take your house, your mansions, all your money. You will rate nothing. The only thing that you're gonna take with you is how many people you help on earth, how many people you give shelter, how many people you give food, how many people you give advice, how many lives you change here on earth. What was the blueprint that you left here for others to follow? Look, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Princess Diana. What they did was service to humanity, and the service is still continuing until today. What are you doing today to change people's life and to leave a legacy of love that's going to continue even after you are gone from this earth? The love of God is universal and will never end.